Okay, so this is going to be part two of the male loneliness epidemic. So let's react to some more of this and see what really is causing this horrible epidemic within men.
We're the ones who carry the babies, at least for now. But on dating apps, you have to admit, it's a little insane. It's safe to say that the commodification of love and the window shopping of dating apps probably has to do a lot.
So, commodification, keyword commodification. So, instead of just finding somebody you like or attracted to and going up and talking to that person for free, you instead have to pay $20 or so a month to be listed on top of the rankings. And when you're listed on top of the rankings, you get more matches, you get more feedback. It's more like a status symbol. You get a golden star saying, yeah, I have money to pay for this. And it's just pathetic. It's a symptom, a literal symptom of capitalism. Men are no longer expected to be good people first. We're expected to be to just shell our money. You want to have fun, shell out some money. You want to get a girlfriend, shell out some money. You want to get female attention, shell out some money. Buy somebody's OnlyFans. It's all about money. And in this capitalist society, you can't just go walk in the park, go on a date, walking through the park, maybe getting a $1 cup of coffee and having a conversation. No, you're expected to go to the fanciest restaurants. You're supposed to drive in the fanciest cars. And if you don't do that, you're seen as some type of loser. If you don't work more than 40 hours a week so you can get a fancy apartment in some sort of gentrified area, you are looked down as a loser. And we base everything based on consumerism. You have to have the nicest stuff. You have to get the nicest car. You have to get the nicest house. You have to get the nicest anything. And now they're commodifying women. They're literally commodifying women, and nobody has a problem with this. Yeah, I'll sell my body. Give me $20 and I'll show you pictures of my body. And this is modern day feminism, just women shelling out their bodies in order to get money. So virtual prostitution.
With the rise of lonely single men. Men are not just lonely when it comes to dating, they're lonely when it comes to friendship too. According to Vox, Americans are currently in a friendship recession, and men are being hit the hardest. The percentage of men who reported having at least 6 close friendships fell in half since the 90s. 1 in 5 men say they have no close friendships. Looking at all these statistics,
Now, that's literally because we have the mindset of get yours first. Who cares about anybody else? Get yours first. It's all about you. You have to put your friends to the side in order to get money. You have to screw over people in order to get money. And people who screw over people, unfortunately, are rewarded for it. If you have friends, you have to give them stuff, give them your time, your energy. And most of that stuff is for free. You have to have free conversations, free events, free a whole bunch of stuff for free. Having friends is expensive. And when you're barely able to feed yourself, you're barely able to pay rent, of course people are gonna be like, I just can't have friends because I'm too busy working.
the explosion of figures like Andrew Tate is
And on top of that, we have issues with social media. People are more invested in the online world compared to the real world.
not surprising at all.
I believe being a man is a blessing because it starts so different. I believe that every man is born without any value at all. I think that the world's never going to think you're important unless you make your.
So yeah, Andrew Tate, unfortunately, he's right on a lot of things, but I think it's fairly obvious that he is a grifter. He is promoting that you're not a man unless you have a private jet, You're not a man unless you have a fast car. You're not a man unless you have 5 women around you at all times, which is just not true. You're a man. You're born a man. Okay? You have to find manliness through yourself, not through the objects you surround yourself with. You commodify or and use friends as a status symbol. You use your mode of transportation as a status symbol. You use the people around you as a status symbol. And what that is going to do is just going to make you a status symbol, because you are nothing without your wealth. You are nothing without your followers, your engagements. You're nothing. And these people are just empty inside. Now, say what you I don't personally dislike Andrew Tate. I think he is an excellent speaker. I think he stands for a lot of things, but he makes men feel inadequate. He makes men feel as if they are losers for working a regular job and trying to put food on the table. Not everybody can be an Andrew Tate. Not everybody can be a Jeff Bezos. Not everybody can be a Dan Bilzerian. However the heck you say, say his name, Bilzerian, whatever. You know what I'm talking about. But not everybody can be those guys. Somebody has to be the regular dude that works. Back in the 1950s, you could be a regular dude and feed an entire family. Now you just can't be regular and cut it because of inflation, because of corruption within our government. Less funds are going towards the people. Monopolies like BlackRock pretty much run everything, and it's just gotten out of control. You're literally looking for scraps. Most jobs just give you scraps. They don't give you, like, imagine if the person you're working with gets 90%. The person, you do all of the work, but the person who owns the company gets like 90% of the profit. Are you just going to sit back and just take it while this person gets 90% and you are doing all the work and you get 10%? No, that's not fair. So, and people just work these jobs. People just keep putting up with it. Keep getting fucked by the system. And it won't change until we have like unfortunately things won't change until we have a mass popular uprising. That is the only way things will change. Hopefully peaceful, but that's the only way things will change. And social media, the internet, all these Snapchats, Facebooks, Twitters, they're just a mode of utter distraction to keep us from losing our minds, realizing we're getting fucked, and revolting and storming the Bastille. That's all this shit is. And people like Andrew Tate perpetuate that heavily because he puts it on the individual to just, oh man, if you just go to the gym and just work out, it will fix all your life's problems. Yes, it will probably help, but at the end of the day, you gotta do some real thinking. You gotta do some investigating on both past and present in the system you surround yourself with. So if you don't do some investigating on that system and you put it all on yourself, you'll just be confused. That's all you will be. You will be confused. You'll constantly be walking around blind, and you are putting yourself in a situation you might not be prepared for. That's all I'm going to say.
You're self-important.
And recently, a new study came out about how young men are moving towards the right. And every other month, we, the liberal, sockdom, leftist, whatever you want to call the space online, performs the same song and dance. What's wrong with men? Why is this happening? Why don't we have a leftist Andrew Tate? We need to push men to the left. Andrew Tate rarely, if ever, talks about politics. Andrew Tate talks about men.
I think Andrew Tate is not very political, which is a good thing. I don't think that people who are just rich should really be talking about politics. If you're a rich guy, you can't really put yourself in the shoes of the regular dude. We need our leaders to be down here with us. If you're just a rich guy like Elon Musk, you're going to be so disconnected from the average man. You won't ever be able to relate to the people at the bottom. You're pretty much like a different species at that point. Your perception of life, of reality, will be so far gone that you will have no clue what to do.
The left only talks about men when they talk about Andrew Tate. A few months ago, during one of the monthly song and dances, some progressive people I follow made the mistake of addressing men's issues, and the even bigger mistake of pointing their finger at their own spaces for not doing enough to address said.
Okay, so it says the reason young men flock to alt-right and RA movements is because the left gives brain-dead advice to young men. We need to be more compassionate to them for our own sake. So I really have I have no comment on that. No comment on that. And during like 4 years ago, it was really like man bashing from the so-called left. Like they were like, oh, you can't talk. Like there was a video called Walking in New York, and being said there was a girl walking in New York, and people were literally just complimenting her, and she was like, that's sexual harassment. And I'm like, how is that sexual harassment? Do you want men to talk to you or not? Do you just want men to talk to you online on Instagram, but when a guy does it in real life, it's sexual harassment? That doesn't really make any sense.
Men's issues.
Recently, there were some statistics by healthcare company Cigna indicating that men are the loneliest generation. And addressing it doesn't mean that you turn your back on issues pertaining to women.
Which is what they want. They want men to be lonely. So they will be isolated, and their only means of support will be corporations.
But it does mean that we should be focused on what it is in society that is leading to this epidemic, what the left can do to offer solutions, and how we can basically fight back against the more nefarious figures who have filled the void that men are struggling with, people like Jordan Peterson and what have you. Now, recently, Vosh, who's a popular streamer, had tweeted this thread that I think is really, really important to address. He writes, I cannot stress enough how important it is to understand that 12-year-old white boys on Twitch are not being pulled into fascism because of some Machiavellian desire to preserve and expand their privileges. It's because the right talks to them and the left doesn't.
The responses to these tweets and this content were very normal, level-headed, and respectful. Me when I lie. LMAO, cry about it. Boo f***ing who? Oh no, poor widow men having problems. Boo f***ing who? Grow the f*** up then. Have men considered being smarter? I'm enjoying all these sad little moids and their sad little tweets about their sad, pathetic lives.
So this is exactly why you should stay away. Stay as far away from Twitter as you possibly can. Twitter is literally designed to make you mentally ill. The algorithm feeds on division and controversy. The most controversial tweets will bring in the most engagements, meaning the company Twitter will make more money. So yeah, I've just stopped using it for obvious reasons. It's just arguing, squabbling 24/7. Nobody ever changes their opinion. They don't want to have an open-minded conversation. They just want to argue online and seem like they beat the other person at the argument, even though both of them are showing that they're just immature little man babies whining.
Sounds like a personal problem. Is the lack of compassion for men in the room with us right now? Maybe men are just not good people then. I'm so fucking tired of people trying to make man.
So, yeah, you will not find any sympathy for men in most political discussions. You will not find any sympathy for men. Even on the right or the left, you will not find any sympathy. And really nobody cares. I'm sorry to say, but nobody cares. We need to dismantle the system. Okay, that's the only way we'll really change things. Start ousting the system. Start ousting the way testosterone rates are lowering. Start ousting the way our tap water is literally being poisoned. Start ousting the way that men are being literally locked up for things they didn't do. That you have way more of a chance to be locked up for something you didn't do as a man, way more than a woman. And as a man, you are seen as the aggressor for things even if you have good intentions, you are seen as the aggressor, which is just absurd. So men are like, why would I go out into the real world and actually interact with people and be seen as the bad guy when I could just stay inside, never test my true potential, never try to make friends, and I could stay comfy, cozy online and, just feel safe. I have no repercussions for my consequences. I can just talk trash all day long. Never, and with an anonymous profile, I just talk trash all day long and no repercussions. Or I could go out in the real world and say hi to somebody I don't know and be seen as a weirdo. No, I'm gonna go on the internet. And that's just sad. We need to have a social revolution. Okay, and we need to start normalizing manly behavior again. We need to start normalizing conversations with strangers. We need to start normalizing just being open to people again. We need to start normalizing this stuff. But instead, we make everything weird and awkward. Everything's taboo in real life. But on the internet, it's fine to just say the N-word. It's fine to just call people stupid for voicing their opinion on maybe men are suffering with mental health, and then there's like millions of people that just go out and say you're stupid, oh they're man babies, all these sorts of things, and nobody's addressing the problem. No doctors, no politicians, no bread tubers. No, nobody's calling this stuff out. No scientists are either. We should treat this as a national emergency because never before in any civilization in human history has it survived without true men. Men keep the infrastructure going. Men build the roads. Men keep the household in order. Men do all this stuff. We keep the lights on. We keep your rivers clean. We pick up the trash. We do all this stuff. It's mostly men working these dirty jobs. Garbage men. Working the sewers. Exterminators. All these dirty jobs. They don't get any credit for it. Nobody treats them like a human being. They can barely afford rent. They can't afford to start a family, and they're working very important jobs. And this is how we treat them. Well, this is how we treat men. think about it. There's all these people just shitting on men online. Just absolute hatred. And these same people wonder, why are men going the other way? Why are they becoming radicalized? What not? No. It's because people like this. And nobody on the center is calling this stuff out. Nobody on the center. I consider myself apolitical. I don't think any political party, Democrat or Republican, has the solution to the problem. I don't think anyone's talking about it. I don't ever think anybody has a solution for it. It's gotten so bad. Nobody's doing anything about it. We have this endless culture war. The culture war started, I think, around 2014, and then it's gotten exponentially worse, where the genders are like living on two separate planets, where one side of the extreme sides of both political spectrums just want to kill each other, think the other side of the political spectrum shouldn't exist, that everything would be much better without those other people. Nobody's willing to have a rational conversation or open up to the other side. That's the country we are living in. We are the only country in the world where this is happening. Maybe in Canada, but besides that, we are the only country. So yeah, this is just gotten way out of control. Way out of control. With desperate measures, you need desperate solutions. And with the current political structure, Democrat, Republican, you won't find it.
Male loneliness, a huge societal problem. Yeah, no, their fifis are not my responsibility, and I shouldn't have to be punished because they can't get their shit together as human beings. Grow the up. Why are we trying to win these entitled little predators over? The left isn't for them. That's why they go right in the first place. We're all lonely and alienated. It's young men going to the alt-right in droves. The problem isn't our messaging, it's them. It's literally not our problem. Men flock to Andrew Tate not because they're lonely, but because they're bigots. Hope this helps. Nah.
So calling Andrew Tate a bigot, I think that's way exaggerated. You can call anybody a bigot when you really think about it. Yeah, you can just, that's just a blanket statement. I mean, you can call anybody a bigot, any celebrity, anybody who's done anything bad, you can call them a bigot. Humans are not perfect, okay? And these men, how do you say it? Incels who just can't leave the room, don't do anything, think that, you know, their social status is so low they will never be able to find happiness, and telling them they're losers, they'll always be a loser, kill yourself, blah 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 blah. I don't think that's good, because at the end of the day, when you have nothing to lose, you will be the most dangerous person in the room. The person who has nothing to lose will always be the most dangerous, most psychotic, most explosive person you will probably ever meet. So when you give that person some empathy, all of a sudden he's like, okay, I got some love now. Okay, now I have something I might lose. At least somebody cares about me. So that's going to stop me from doing something crazy. A lot of people think this is naive, but what is the alternative? Just shaming these people, genociding these people? What is the alternative? Because with this same tactic, this has only gotten worse. The shaming, the name calling, the confusion has only made these things worse. So are we, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. What is the solution?
It's just misogynists being louder than before and not getting laid. LOL. Cry harder, losers. 90% of all homicides recorded worldwide were committed by male perpetrators. We should just get rid of all males, to be honest. This includes trans women, as they still retain male violence. By the way, you know the Tumblr feminists who were like, all men are sexist and rapists, male tears, penises are evil, blah 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 back in the day? Well, this is them now. Should've just let me cook back then. Listen up, chuckle. I'm white, socially awkward, autistic, in my 40s, ugly, overweight, crippled, got a weird balding pattern, and have bad skin. You know what I didn't do? Choose to become a fascist. Because I recognize most of the sort that look like me are the problem. I may be—
Fascist is such a generic word. Okay, every time somebody says fascist, that's just like, come on, man. Oh, that, you freaking fascist. You fascist. Oh, like, that's just a buzzword at this point. They call everything fascist. And they use it all the time to the point where it literally means nothing. I think fascist means like Nazis and the Italians during World War II, but they just call anybody a fascist. If you believe in men's rights, fascist. If you believe in stopping, if you don't believe what the media is telling you, oh, you're a fascist. So they're calling everything a fascist. Now keep in mind, I don't believe in what these racist people who use Stormfront and 4chan are saying. Heck no. But I do agree that just saying men need help, that's not really fascist. That isn't fascist. That's just basic empathy.
hideously ugly and pathetic, but at least I'm not a fascist. Thank you for your input, buddy. You're, really helping the situation. The reason young men flock to alt-right MRA movements is because the left gives brain-dead advice to young men. We need to be more compassionate to them, for our own sake. I'm sorry, but how is respect women brain-dead advice? What advice? Don't rape? Don't be a rapist is bad advice? Help, I have no friends or community, I feel suicidal. Have you considered not raping? Act like a decent fucking human being. It's not hard. Is brain-dead advice? Brain-dead advice like, get consent and don't be a Nazi and women are people. Walking up to men struggling with loneliness and depression like,
Kids, don't be racist.
incredible. Here's my actual advice I would give to my teen boys as a leftist. 1. Always get enthusiastic consent. 2. Save the planet. 3. Don't say that. It's actually kind of racist. Like, what the f is this? How does this address men and their issues? It doesn't. Why does their advice always seem to be, become a liberal? Hey men, here's how to fix all your problems. Agree with me politically. Men flock to the MRA movement because they're the largest beneficiaries of MRA shit. Imagine saying women flock to women's rights activism because they're the biggest beneficiaries of women's rights. Like,
how is it bad to think men deserve rights? Now literally think about that. They're saying men don't deserve rights. That's insane. That's utterly insane.
no f***ing shit. Let's be honest. Aside from procreation purposes, men have become obsolete. Most women can find other methods of achieving orgasm without a man there. And speaking as a man, most of us are horrid to be around, and I don't blame any woman for just saying, no thanks. Oh my god, dude, this is what every Just Pearly Things tweet looks—
That's self-hatred. That's literally self-hatred. You're saying men have nothing to offer? Who do people call when their house is on fire? Men. Who do people call when they're getting mugged? Men. If you see a video of a woman getting her purse snatched, who comes to the rescue? Other men. Women usually don't step in situations like that. Okay, you're saying men are useless. You're saying men don't deserve anything. Who is the majority of the military? Men. Who works the majority Who paves the roads? Who works construction? Men. Who builds the majority of stuff in this in this country? Men. Who made the majority of inventions? Men. And I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to say women don't contribute stuff, because they contribute things socially. They help raise the next generation. They help raise children and socialize them, which is probably more important than inventing stuff, because we need to be socialized first before anything. But to say men don't do anything, really? Are you serious? Men keep order. We keep order in society. If we don't have men, we don't have any order, because it will just be a bunch of men killing each other. Why do you think men join gangs? It's because they are looking for male leadership. The older gang members persuade the younger people in their community into joining their gangs for male acceptance from the older gang members, because maybe they don't have a male role model at home, so they join the gang. They end up trying to do wild things in order to please the higher ups. That's how it's always worked. There will always be men, and you need strong men to guide the younger men. If you don't have strong men to guide the younger men, you will have utter chaos. Utter chaos.
Looks like to me, just with the gender swapped. This is pathetic. You know what fixes male loneliness? Jerking off. As a man, I'll say this. Sit down, shut up, and beat one out. You'll feel better. I promise. Yeah, guys, just beat one out. Just off. Just watch porn. Batman.
Now, porn is exploitative. Now, we have a bunch of men just not doing anything. Their only sexual gratification they have is porn. Is that the life you want to live? Is that the life you want to live? In front of a screen, all your pleasure sensors are connected to this freaking screen. You don't do anything else but sit in front of the screen, talk to the screen, you jerk off to the screen, all your social interactions are on the screen, you watch the screen, you get your knowledge from the screen. When are you going to get something else from real life? When are we going to get something else from real life? When is our life going to actually be more valuable than the freaking screen? And this is what I mean. We need to have a national holiday where we turn off the internet for a whole entire day and just celebrate being human beings living in this world and connect to our reality. Because this is an epidemic, just like there's a fentanyl epidemic, a drug epidemic. This is an epidemic. People spending I think it's 8 hours a day just staring at a screen. That has something to do with lowering testosterone rates, because when you're surrounded by real people, you're surrounded by both men you compete with and women that you're trying to get, your testosterone rates have a natural incentive to be raised in those situations. But when you're just sitting in a room by yourself on a screen, your testosterone levels lower because you have no incentive to have higher testosterone rates. A lot of people just go to work, and if there's no real people, a lot of young people work with a bunch of older people at their job, they don't really talk to anybody their age, then they will just be lonely. They won't have any friends, they won't have any peers, and that's if they even have a job. A lot of men don't have a job. We are the most unemployed generation. We are the generation that has completely given up on working. And I think that's a good thing. I think that's a good thing. We need to move beyond working. We need to start automating this shit, because it's just made us unhappy. But we need to give people a program and guidance on their life. Okay, now you no longer work. Is your life going to be just sitting in front of a computer screen? Are you going to practice hobbies? Are you going to meet friends? Are you going to talk? Are you going to write books? What are you going to do? Because you can't just sit in front of a computer screen.
Men will be very disappointed in all of you. It's so funny how men feel entitled to a girlfriend. No, you sexist freak. When one side is like, wanting a girlfriend is sexist entitlement, and the other side is like, here's how to get a girlfriend. I don't know, bro. What happened to males just kicking the bucket? Now they just come on here and try to make their loneliness and misery into some social justice issue. Oh, trust me, men are still kicking the bucket. And when they're not giving mind-blowing advice like just to be a liberal, they're outright dismissing men's issues completely. It's not our job to educate.
So a woman being lonely, a woman being sad is seen as a horrible injustice. But a man being lonely, a man being sad, oh, boo-hoo, you deserve it. Ah, man, the double standard is obvious.
Them. Since men created the problem, they need to take steps to fix it. We have other things to care about. Men can figure out their own problems that they created. Again, it's not women's jobs to change how men are socialized. It's a man issue, and y'all need to address that amongst yourselves. Men created their own problems. Men can solve their own problems. The left is busy. Why does the well-being of other people concern me? Leftist.
Now, I do kind of agree with that last statement. I think men can fix their own problems absolutely without the help of women. Although a man in his later years needs a strong woman to raise the family. But during your younger years, when you're finding yourself, you should be experimenting as much as possible, trying to figure out your path in life. But looking for female guidance, looking for female advice, looking for a female to save you, that's a recipe for disaster. It's going to take hard work. It's going to take uncomfortable emotion. It's going to take a lot of heartbreak. But the more pain you feel, the better you'll feel. So, yeah, I do agree with that last statement. We should not be having this mommy, please help me mindset. We should be helping ourselves. Why are men paying $20 for Tinder? Why are men paying like $100 for OnlyFans models? Instead of working hard for this stuff, we instead throw integrity out of the window and try to get all of our satisfaction online. Our parents didn't raise us that way. They didn't tell us. They gave us the game. If you have a dad, or you have a granddad, or if you have any male role model, they will tell you how to get women, and they will give you their own formula. If you know anybody who's gotten your dad, he has a partner. If you have a dad, then that dad has a partner, and he'll tell you how he did it. The main problem with that, I think, is because people make less, that they have less free time. That's all this shit boils down to, is inequality, capitalism. And I think that's one of the secondary reasons, but we have to try to fix ourselves before we try to fix the system.
By the way, it's all systemic issues and societal factors and blah 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 until it's a man, and then suddenly it's pull yourselves up by your bootstraps. This problem is just a consequence of the patriarchy. Now take a wild guess about which gender created the patriarchy. Solve your own problems and leave women alone. These people rightly mock the bootstraps rhetoric until the subject is a man, and then it.
Now, I don't get why the poor woman and the poor men don't band together in order to destroy the system. I don't get it. These so-called liberal women are over here laughing at the poor men that are living in poverty, they're laughing at them. They're like, oh, you're a loser, blah, 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 blah. These men are working 80 hours a week. They can't afford anything more than an apartment. And they're over here laughing. These so-called allies on the left expect you to just bow down to them all the time and just take a beating and just self-hate just because you're a man, instead of banding together and forming an alliance to take on the system. They won't do it. They won't do it. So men are going like, why am I even on this side of the political spectrum if I'm just being shamed for who I am? I'm moving more to the left. I'm going this way where I'm actually wanted. So yeah. And it's crazy how both the left and the right don't like the way the system is working, and instead of negotiating how it should be, what problems we could fix, they are just bickering with each other all the time. And really it's about hating each other more than anything. It's not about actually coming up with policies and real politics. That's why I say Twitter is fake, fraudulent politics. It's not real politics. It's childish nonsense, arguing, bickering, squabbling all the time. No policies. And they have that dumbass character limit where you have to literally limit yourself in what you say. You can't write something of value. You have to write like one paragraph and that's it. So yeah. So the only thing they can even say is freaking insults. But yeah, this is just bullshit, man. This is all just bullshit. Society is going to collapse. And there's really nothing we can do about it unless we band together. If we don't band together and stop this arguing, bickering, which is what Twitter thrives on, just thrives on, we won't get anything done. No, men aren't bad. No, women aren't bad by default. It's your individual actions that make you bad. It's your words that make you bad. It's your integrity. It's your motives that make you bad. It's not who you are. It's not your skin color. It's not your gender, whatever. But what are your intentions? Explain your motives. Explain why your reasoning for saying that. They can't do it on Twitter. They can't. All they can do is argue. So don't even use that platform, because it's really just social engineering at that point.
It's bootstraps all the way down. They would never talk about any other group this way. It's wild. And it's kind of like both sides are telling men to pull themselves up by their bootstraps, but one is like, I'll show you how, and the other is like, fuck off. And when they're not telling men to straight up fuck off, they're giving the 200 IQ answer that nobody has ever heard before. Just show your emotions, bro. And I'm not dismissing this problem, okay? I've made videos talking about this. Oh, you're crying at your grandfather's funeral? Okay, it. And studies have shown that men are scared to be vulnerable, even around the homies. And can you blame them when the media says stupid like this? Fellas, is it woke to open up to your...
I think men should voice their complaints within the world that they're living in. If they're sad, maybe a relative died, they should complain their ass off and somebody should listen. Don't shame that person, just listen. But now the world we're living in literally shames men for complaining about anything. Why aren't you working hard enough? Get back to work. Nobody cares about a man that complains. Okay, if you're upset with your life, they're going to automatically expect you to shut up and do your job. Just shut up. They're going to tell you shut up. Instead of actually, nobody wants to listen to the other person. Nobody wants to listen to the other person's point of view, the other person's story. Nobody. And I think Twitter is the most extreme example of just people shitting on the male experience in America. It's just you say anything where men's needs are being lacked, and they'll just shit the shit out of you. And why is any self-respecting man even using that platform to begin with? Just get off, log off, delete your accounts. For the most part, other social medias don't really act like that. There's on you here on YouTube, there's actually a discussion about what men need, what men want, blah 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 blah. There's actually been a manosphere for decades now. But on Twitter, it's mostly hush, 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 hush. Every time a man talks about men's issues.
Fellow men and discuss history. Men are socialized to believe strength, dominance, and stoicism are behaviors of a real man. Is it any surprise that men are lonely and have less friends nowadays? You have to be vulnerable to make friends. Don't tell me there aren't systemic problems affecting men. Now, while a lot of this may be true, men have been.
I still have no idea what stoicism means. Does it mean just locking yourself in solitary confinement, staring at a wall and thinking? If so, that's terrible for you. Stoicism, I just don't get it. It's such a vague statement in of itself. Yeah, I just don't understand what that means, stoicism. I think, does it mean philosophy, like philosophizing about life? Does it mean thinking about the world around you? If so, I'm all for that. But just locking yourself in a room and just trying to ride it out, no, that's not going to be good for you.
Been socialized this way for centuries, and this is all relatively a new phenomena. Toxic masculinity has existed forever. If anything, there's less toxic masculinity nowadays. The cultural embrace of like gender nonconformity, femboys, Harry Styles in a dress, Barbie movie, blah 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 blah. My point is, toxic masculinity did not just appear in the mid-2010s. But social media did, and the internet did, and the rise of dating apps did, and the housing crisis, and living in a country where the wealth inequality is worse than it was during the Gilded Age. That
boom, boom, boom. Freaking dogs barking. But yeah, see, it all boils down to capitalism. If you research this shit long enough to know what the problems are, it always leads back to capitalism. So yeah, just understand that. But I'm gonna see what my dog's barking at. I might do a part 3 soon. Who knows? But yeah, it always boils down to capitalism.